Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this year's Sylvan Circle Social. Certainly a great night here at SDSU, and what a fantastic time to be a Jackrabbit. I think so many people in this room have a strong passion for this university, and that's why they've taken the steps to include SDSU in their estate plan. So thank you to everyone here in the room. And I hope you enjoy this evening's festivities. We're going to hear from President Dunn, Coach Stig. But first, I wanted to introduce the Sylvan Circle chairs to you, Keith Rounds and Kathy Vanderwall Rounds. They're our evening's hosts. So Keith and Kathy.
50 years ago, I met this young lady at Sylvan, at the Solberg Hall, and Psych 111. But I would not have been here. I'm just a Beetle County kid, farm boy, and I would not have been able to afford it if it wasn't for people just like you. I had a Pell Grant. I came here, and out of the conjunction of the stars, I met the love of my life. We created what we had here in town. We made a dent in this university, I think, and we'll make a dent with all of you. We love every one of your efforts, and we're so proud to be part of the Sylvan Circle and be part of this university.
Well, we made our decision to work with the foundation staff 6 years ago. It took us a while to go through things, but that process allowed us to not only support areas of SDSU that were meaningful to us, but also accomplish our objectives with our family and other philanthropic organizations that have been special to us and continue to be. We learned about ways that the Legacy Estate Plan could make a greater bold and blue impact. The power of all of us together has made a great impact on the Bold and Blue campaign. In fact, 32% of the total raised is due to the generosity of our Sylvan Circle members, laying the foundation for the future here at SDSU. So thank you. Of the supporters that have shared their future gift intentions, we estimate $227 million in future support to SDSU. Half of that will be realized in the next 20 years. So many of us will see that.
Jane and I joined the Sylvan Circle over the last few years, and we did that because a couple of reasons. The stories that we'd heard about the Sylvan Circle members and your commitment and your willingness to help this university be successful in the infinite game certainly inspired us, and so we've joined the Sylvan Circle. I guess probably right after the last time we met, which was right before COVID, I think, Steve, wasn't it? Who can forget, right? So we're very honored to be able to, we have a series of scholarships now, but it's really kind of, for me, it's really heartwarming to think about that legacy that Jane and I have created with our scholarships going on well into the future. So it's really a very important thing. I mentioned stories, and I got permission to share one tonight, and so I want to relay the story of Bob and Karen Hemry. So they're joined us tonight. They're sitting over by Steve, so we're really glad you're here, Bob and Karen. They were on campus last night celebrating because they had helped us achieve a different goal. And so you'll see them more and more on campus, although they graduated from Dakota State, which is a really good school. They got even smarter there, and Bob came up here for a master's degree, so education works, right? So really, and then they had tremendous careers in education, both as teachers. And I think we all, I've said this over and over again, I can think of my favorite, I'm looking at the teacher here, certainly on this campus are my favorite teachers, but Miss Cope was my first grade teacher. I never forget her. Helped a little boy, become a little older and a little smarter. So I think teachers have a very special place in our heart. And so Bob and Karen have we're working with an estate planner and working on their estate, and we're friends with the Omelids, with Brian and Denise. And Brian and Denise suggested that they visit with someone here at the foundation, and they did that, and a really strong relationship has developed, and they made an estate gift. They named SDSU in their estate, and a large six-figure gift, and it's really heartwarming, and especially as it's dedicated to education, which I think is such a wonderful area to support. But they live in Sioux Falls. They attend a lot of SDSU events now. I get to see them. They were at the Summit League. We got to see them there. And then I got word that they had made an even bigger decision. They tripled the size of their estate gift to SDSU in their state. So help me thank Bob and Karen for making such a generous, very, very generous gift. Their legacy will impact education majors for, again, decades and decades, and that's just a wonderful story to tell. So we're very, very proud of them and glad that they're our friends and that they've joined our family of jackrabbits here. So that's just one story, and I'm looking out at 40 more stories, and there's 50 more or 100 more online, whatever it is. And so each one of you and your families are making an enormous impact well into the future, and we're very, very grateful for that. Bold and Blue will go down in the history of this university as a change maker. This is going to change this university, put it on a different path, and just really, really proud of the great work that the foundation has done as a teammate of the university.
It's good to be here and among some of the favorite people at South Dakota State that support South Dakota State, and those of you that are watching also. To make sure I didn't mess anything up, I looked through the website on the Sylvan Circle. And if you go into that, there's a term called planned gift. And I thought, how cool is that term? Planned gift, not an accident, not somebody twists your arm, you plan the gift. And then there's another term in the explanation about the Sylvan Circle, and it says, and it's been used tonight, and the term is legacy. And so I looked up legacy, and it's a long-lasting impact. So think about combining those two terms, a planned, long-lasting impact. How cool that we all are part of that vision and that impact. On that note, Coach Meadows, Luke Meadows, was our offensive line coach years ago when we were in the old trailers, if you remember those things. And on just as you left his meeting room, he had on the wall, "How do you want to be remembered?" It's a pretty powerful question. And he's talking to 18 to 22-year-old guys, but what he was saying to them is, you're putting your legacy out on the field. And do you want to have a legacy? Do you want to be remembered for a guy that gave it your all and that coaches and players would talk about even when you're gone? And that is a picture of the Sylvan Circle. How do we want to be remembered? If I was to sum up why we're members of the Sylvan Circle, I would use the term love. I don't know of a more powerful word, and we love South Dakota State. I hope that makes sense to all of you. And we've been blessed, and we literally love the impact it's had on our family and each of us. We arrived 35 years ago. We had two little kids, two little children. We were blessed with two more. We were able to raise them in Brookings and raise them at South Dakota State. And that's rare in coaching. You know, I'm kind of an oddball. We're kind of oddballs when, coaches have this desire to climb a ladder. But I'll tell you this, I can't tell you the number of times where we were messing around at home, just doing our stuff, and we'd pause and we'd look at each other, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. And we'd look at each other and say, can you believe what we get to do? We get to be the head coach at South Dakota State, this great university. And it's just been such a blessing. During our time, we've experienced so many unbelievable things. If you look at the facilities, I mentioned the trailers. Coughlin Alumni, I love Coughlin Alumni Stadium, but if you look at our facilities now, we went from maybe the worst at the level of football we were at, and to maybe the best. With the Dykehouse Student Athlete Center, with the indoor, with the new stadium, and people ask me about that, and I talk about, number one, we have people that love South Dakota State, and they're willing to give, and then spiritually, I say this is proof there's miracles. There really is. What's happened? By far, the highlight of our experience here, and one of the reasons we love South Dakota State so dearly, is because of the student athletes we've been blessed to be around. You as a coach, as a coaching couple, the energy, the smiles, the love they give to our family, our coaching staff's family, it's immeasurable. If Lori and I were going to say what is success as a student athlete, it would be to excel in every one of your roles. Right? It's not just catching the touchdown pass or working out in the field or whatever. It's literally excelling in every one of your roles. And if you were to watch me text or watch me email or listen to me on the phone, right, you would hear me say this at the end of it every time: be a great dad. Be a great dad, right? Because that's truly excelling in the world we live right now. So I'm going to share with you some names of guys that are excelling in all areas. Zach Carter. Zach Carter's first job was building embassies all over the world for the United States government, and lost his father-in-law, and he's a rancher backed by Spearfish. He has 5 kids, and all the things he's accomplished, his greatest accomplishment, I've watched him. He's a great dad. He's excelling. Zach Zenner, a lot of you know that name. NFL for 5 years, had his med school paid for, realized that if he went to med school, his kids would be teenagers by the time he got done. He gave up med school to be a dad. He's a great dad, and he's great in his role right now. Luke Smith, one of my favorites, is a pastor in Watertown. He's kind of a space cadet. And if he's here, he'd smile at me, right? But man, is he a great dad to their 3 daughters. So fun to see. Corey Wolf is one of the orthopedic surgeons in Minneapolis for the Minnesota Twins. He's a great dad. And again, one of my favorites, Conrad Kerstead, again, is a rancher and farmer out by Wall. He has 4 little blonde-haired boys, and they got a lot of energy, and I just love to see those guys because he is a great dad and is excelling in his role. And there are so many, many more stories that we've been blessed to be part of. We won a national championship in January, and I say we because we won a national championship. And I didn't know what it was going to feel like, and it felt good, right? But I will tell you a better feeling, all right? And I want you to listen to me on this. It's when a football alum comes back, a young man that graduated a number of years ago, and the picture would be he's married, he's got his wife with him, he's got 1, 2, 3, they have 1, 2, 3 kids, and they say this. They say, you would not believe the impact South Dakota State University and South Dakota State football had on my life moving forward. That is a much better feeling than I felt when we held that on the podium. And so again, you guys are all part of that in some way. I started with talking about legacy, long-lasting impact, a planned long-lasting impact. That's the Sylvan Circle. Today, Lori and I are members of the Sylvan Circle, and ideally, we will have an impact someday. Ideally, in the coaching realm, the young men that we just finished with will take some things from us. But that's today. How about tomorrow? How about future generations? We plan to increase our commitment to the Sylvan Circle, but I think more importantly, we plan to preach the importance of this organization, this group, to others that love South Dakota State. And I encourage each of you to do that. You did it. You got involved because of something in your heart told you to get involved. Well, tell other people about that. to be part of the foundation and help them out and get people involved and knowledgeable. When Lori and I decided to retire, we looked at the football team coming back, and obviously it is probably the best team ever at South Dakota State, if I can quantify that. And we looked at each other and said, what are we doing? Why are we retiring now? And the answer to that question is this. We are doing the right thing. We are leaving South Dakota State football in a good situation, poised for success. As members of the Sylvan Circle, you're doing the same. You're leaving South Dakota State poised for success. Thank you.